Texas Tech's baseball season ends 6-0 against the number 2 Florida Gators out in the Gainesville Regional Championship game. Hey, how's it going, everybody? I am RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast, giving you the latest Texas Tech news and rumors all year long. Before we get into the rundown of this winner-take-all matchup against the number 2 Florida Gators and Texas Tech season ending with a record of 41-23, I need y'all to give me one word to describe the Red Raiders baseball season. Just one word. It'll be the pinned comment down below. Now, again, not the way you want to end your season, but again, I think Tadlock, and I've said it a couple times, and I've seen a few other people say it as well. If you told me at the beginning of the season that you would have one game, a winner-take-all game, to go to a super regional, I'm taking that. And I've had some people call me out on Twitter about it. Oh, this is loser talker. Oh, this program is so far ahead of that, RC. It's like, you got to have some perspective. And I want to say this too, right? I want to get this out of the way first. I completely understand why people don't have perspective. Perspective and being a fan do not go hand in hand. As somebody on Twitter told me, they don't sit close to each other. I agree. I understand, and I understand the frustration aspect of this, but context and perspective are key. And it may take a little while for people to get there, but I'm going to try and talk about that right now, which I know a lot of people probably don't want to hear about. But again, Texas Tech loses 6-0 in a winner-take-all matchup against the number 2 Florida Gators. And before I get into anything too crazy, shout out to Gage Harrelson, right? He had 3 of the 4 Red Raider hits today. The true freshman went 3 for 3, got on base 4 times after taking one right to the shin in the first inning. Was absolutely phenomenal. But really the thing that's going to be talked about, in my opinion, when it comes down to this regional and why Texas Tech didn't advance, it's not the pitching. We got to let that go, people. The pitching in this regional was actually pretty good, all things considered, right? It was the bats, right? The bats were not good when it came to runners in scoring position, and I think I'm putting that a little too lightly. 3 for 26 when it came down to it with runners in scoring position. You are not going to win regionals when that happens, right? You think about the wins that Texas Tech had, and there was that RBI double for Zach Vuletich that put 2 on the board early on against UConn for Texas Tech, right? And then you had Gavin Cash hit 2 dingers to lead the way, right? But when it came down to it, Texas Tech was not good with runners in scoring position. In fact, Zach Vuletich had 2 of the 3 hits for the Red Raiders when that happened, right? 3 for 26 with runners in scoring position. It's just not going to cut it, right? But all in all, again, when it comes down to it, you lost the game. I get it. But if you would have told me one more time that Texas Tech would have a chance to go to a super regional, right, with one game on the line, I'm taking it. And I think a lot of teams in the country would, right? Now, I probably wouldn't have that scenario against the number 2 Florida Gators, who arguably have the deepest pitching staff in the country, and Texas Tech saw that, right? This was a 3-game series against the Gators. Texas Tech took the first one, and then Florida, unfortunately, took the next 2 if you're a Texas Tech fan, right? But when it comes down to it, that's the big thing for the Red Raiders, is they just struggled with runners in scoring position. They swung at a lot of first pitches as well. At one point in this winner-take-all game, they were 1 for 6 when it came down to first pitches in terms of putting them into play, right, and actually getting on base. Gavin Cash, I'm looking at the stats right now. You look at what Gavin Cash did in the lineups and everything like that, right? Gavin Cash was 0 for 4. He swung at 3 first pitches in his first 3 ABs, right? Didn't get a hit. He saw a total of 3 pitches in his first 3 ABs, and you just can't have that, right? I love the aggressiveness. I really do. But sometimes you got to let the game come to you, right? Get deeper into account. See what the pitcher has to offer you and not just go after that first pitch, right? And it was interesting. I like the aggressive approach for a lot of teams and even for Texas Tech. But sometimes in these matchups against a team like Florida, in my opinion, you have to lay back a little bit, let the pitches come to you, right? Foul it off. Go with that Nolan Hester approach at the plate and foul off some good pitches. Keep yourself alive and then go from there and make the Florida Gators work. But you got to tip your cap to Florida too in the situation where, I mean, honestly, they're deep as hell. I said this from the jump when I heard about the Gainesville Regional. It would not surprise me in 5 years if we look back at this Florida Gator team and they have the most pros of any team that played in this respective NCAA tournament for baseball, right? They are loaded. Wyatt Langford, he's going to be a top 3 pick in the draft in the next few weeks. I mean, it's just the truth, right? Like, he is that good. You saw it on full display there. Doesn't make this, loss any better for Texas Tech. I understand that, but truly a really good team are the Florida Gators, and they were on full display, unfortunately, for the Red Raiders at some parts. Again, I want to ask you one more time, your one word to describe this Texas Tech baseball season. Just one word. That's it. Roller coaster does not count. Do not put a hyphen in there. Do not Maxfield Bradbury this like I do with my name, okay? Overall, I want to talk about this too, because I know some people have, unrealistic expectations, and that's fine. Again, part of being a fan, as I mentioned in the first couple minutes of this video, right? But we got to stop with the Tadlock stuff, guys. Like, we got to stop. Like, it's not a great look. And I am not one for trying to tell people how to think or anything like that. I truly believe in, hey, say what you want to say, even if it's dumb, intelligent, whatever it may be, right? Say what you want to say as long as it's not attacking another person and verbally abusing them or whatnot. I'm all for it, okay? But perspective, man. You've been to 6 regionals since 2000, super regionals since 2014, and 4 College World Series. I get it. It is frustrating that you haven't gone there in back-to-back seasons, and it hasn't been 4 years since you went to Omaha. I truly get it, guys. I really do. Technically only 3 because of the COVID shortened year, but I get it. I really do, right? But you have to understand something too. Texas Tech lost some guys this year when it came to that pitching rotation, right? Some key guys. Notably Parrish, who was going to be one of your best pitchers out of the bullpen. And then you have to tax Brandon Beckel, who, by the way, didn't have a great game against Florida in the winner-take-all one, but he's one of your best relievers, if not your best pitcher all season. I don't really think that's an if, but listen, I truly understand the frustration. I really, really get it. But Coach Tadlock has done a phenomenal job with this program. Simple and plain. And this is more of coming from not the media side of me, which I try and, toe that line very evenly when it comes to showing a little bit of homerism for Texas Tech and being a media member. It's difficult. I'll admit it. And sometimes I go too far either way, but I'm trying to stay right down the middle on this one. Guys, there are a ton, virtually every program in the country, virtually everyone, maybe a handful wouldn't, because they've got a better coach, would take Tim Tadlock. All right. I get it. Expectations are astronomical for this program. You don't think they know that? Listen, injuries are part of the game. Being young is part of this, right? This is one of the youngest team Coach Tadlock has ever had, right? And you go into it and you get a majority of these guys back for next season, unless they hit the portal, which I don't see a lot of that happening. You get guys healthy for next season. And listen, there's going to be a lot of high expectations for Texas Tech. I get it, right? But to say that Coach Tadlock, isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing, I don't know, man. That's too far in my opinion. I think Tadlock is legitimately already one of the greatest coaches that has ever stepped foot on the Texas Tech campus out there in Lubbock. And to see some of the things that people are saying about him, they're just wild. They are absolutely wild, in my opinion. But as you can see on the bottom line below, number 2 Florida ends the Texas Tech Red Raiders season with a 6-0 win over the Red Raiders to win the Gainesville Regional. They will move on to face the South Carolina Gamecocks there in Gainesville, while the Red Raiders will end their season with a 41-23 record. If you want more Texas Tech videos all year long, hit that like button and subscribe to the fastest growing Texas Tech YouTube channel. Of course, I'm talking about the Back to 12 podcast channel.